I'm lubricating the knowledge.
Hi, and welcome to Book Me a Hero, the channel where I go into unscripted rants about romance novels. My name is Sarah, and in case you're wondering, I do look exhausted today because the class I student taught last semester had their ending of the year party yesterday, and that ended kinda late. Nonetheless, I'm still super happy to have been invited and had the chance to be there because my student teaching program ended back in March, meaning I haven't seen those kids in a while. I really miss them. But we're not here to talk about me today, we're here to talk about books. So today I am bringing you Her Virgin Duke by Nicola Davidson, a short story that first came out as part of the Have Yourself a Merry Little Scandal Christmas novella, published all the way back in 2020, I think. It was later self-published by the author herself.
That's how self-publishing works.
I found it because Sarah McLean posted it to her Instagram a while back, and because the word of Sarah McLean is the word of the book gods, I ran to read it. Any and everything that woman ever tells me to read, I will read. I will start by saying this is a very, very chess-playing positive book. And no, I'm not oblivious to the irony in the fact that I'm not even allowed to be verbally explicit about what I'm talking about whilst discussing positivity on the subject, but we have rules to follow, we're following them. More than having a super positive message, this book is very, very, very outside the box. And it amazed me that Nicola Davidson didn't need to do anything other than gender switch the so very typical roles everyone got used to seeing in historical romance novels at this point. If you know historical romance novel tropes, you know the bad guy, good girl trope, which is not only in historical romance novels, but alas. More specifically, the subtrope of self-made millionaire guy who runs a not-so-well-hidden underground chess-playing club and is very comfortable with all things chess-playing, and very sheltered young woman who is very socially awkward and anxious, ignorant and naive to all things relating to playing chess.
Sounds familiar enough?
In this case, all Nicola Davidson did on this book was gender switch these roles, pick up these checklists, and switch the gender to which they are typically attributed to, giving us a self-made millionaire young woman who runs a not at all underground or hidden chess-playing club. She's just open and comfortable about it, and very experienced and knowledgeable on all things relating to playing chess. And a very sheltered, overprotected young man who is very socially awkward and anxious, and very, very, very inexperienced and ignorant and naive on all things relating to playing chess. More specifically, she gave us Bennett, or Tum Drum Tun, the Duke of Tunbury, a 25-year-old who has never before played chess in his life. He has inherited at the age of 15, and because he was still a minor, he had his affairs and overall entire life managed by trustees, appointed by his father in his will. And these trustees, as old-fashioned elderly men they were big on not sinning and behaving appropriately, and trash playing is shameful, even by yourself. Meaning, Bennett is very uncomfortable around women and himself, and not good at all in social situations, because he had never before had the chance to get out of his own bubble and experience the world and life and be around new people and learn new things and learn to be comfortable with his own body and his own feelings.
Sounds familiar enough?
On the other hand, we have Delilah, manager and owner of Delilah's Temple, a very openly chess-playing club where she hosts lectures, classes, provides a safe space for chess players to try new things when they play chess with their playing chess partners, and provides all things necessary for them to discover new preferences and educate themselves on the subject, and she's overall very chess playing positive. She is basically the chess playing experienced character with all of the comfort and the knowledge, but more than you typically see when these characteristics are 99.9% of the time attributed to the male character. Because, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think I've ever seen a male character provide lectures and classes or attending them to learn more and making sure to educate himself in the matter.
So making the female character chess game positive equals chess game education?
Overall, the woman has an amazing operation running under a roof and got me wondering where she was when I was in 9th grade, being subjected to the Mean Girls version of chess game education. Ben, of course, as typically seen in this trope, ends up stumbling upon Delilah's establishment, except not so much stumbling, he's borderline bullied / blackmailed into going there and getting a tour so he can give his friend feedback on Delilah's temple, allowing his friend to decide whether or not he wants membership. And because Ben is very nervous and anxious, but also smart, he decides to go and ask for the tour before opening hours, so he does not have to see anyone else there or witness the shenanigans going on, because he knows he's going to be very uncomfortable with it. Too bad for him that the second Delilah lays eyes on him, she decides she wants to have a chess game with this Temple of Manhood, apparently. And of course, the second he lays eyes on her, he decides he wants to have a chess game with her. Except he was always taught it was shameful and bad, so he does not have a single clue on how to go about it. Realizing this, Delilah makes sure to end the tour with a dinner and an open, safe conversation about his inhibitions and insecurities and how lacking his lack of experience with other people or himself, which would generally translate to the rakish hero cornering the heroine against the wall and making her beg for a kiss.
So a rakish heroine is better.
Because we have all the knowledge in rakishness and chess playing education on the female side, we have an open conversation that then leads to seduction. See how a itty-bitty tiny little detail changed the whole narrative? Bennett, however, of course, having all the shame still deep-rooted in himself, afterwards runs out the door promising it will never happen again and sorta kinda dying inside. But at this point, he has a crush on her, and for the first time, real genuine curiosity towards a woman. So of course, he finds an excuse to go meet her again. And they end up going out, spending the day together, shopping. He gets to meet her best friend, and only then do they try for a chess game again. And this time, our hero is way more comfortable. We have 2 tries in a row. The first one so he is comfortable with his own body and hers, and the second to consummate a relationship. The real actual chess game goes down. And again, it is so different because while it's happening, all the knowledge and comfort is on the female side, so way more communication. We get to see her talk him through it and walk him through it and educating him as they go. In a very different way than we see rakish, knowledgeable, experienced heroes do with their unexperienced, naive, pure as snow heroines. But urgent matters regarding work fall onto Delilah's lap, and she has to essentially kick Bennett out the nicest way. easiest way she can find, but still in a rush. And she feels bad, he feels bad, ends up having a whole mental breakdown. Which in retrospective, it kind of reminded me of 9 Rules to Break When Romancing a Rake by Sarah McLean. You know, that part where Callie is in the library rearranging all the books. After her and Gabriel consummate their relationship, it was sort of like that. It was giving strong vibes of that same energy. Except this time, Bennett was putting together Christmas baskets in his robe, unshaved, looking tired and depressed, which is when his sister and brother-in-law decide to intervene because they get kind of scared at the sight of a very obvious mental breakdown. But Bennett decides in his mind that now Delilah is through with him because she got to be his first chess game and now she must not want anything with him again. And he stays away from her until his friend from the beginning who wanted membership very loudly declares he's gonna go over there and start a riot because he finds out he had his membership denied. Bennett decides he's not gonna have the love of his life's business destroyed by a complete idiot he always despised, always made his life miserable, and so he outruns him there and warns her about it. Not so he can fix the situation for her and be her hero and save the day, just so she knows it's gonna happen so she can prepare as she better sees fit. He essentially just tells her, hey, this is gonna happen. If you need an accomplice, a witness, or an alibi, I can do all of them. And then he just steps back and lets her take care of it. Until the guy insults her and he punches her in the face, but not related to the problem himself. He just took personal offense. And after all, he still needed to be actively heroic in some way. Of course, the whole thing ends with them playing chess again. In a very fun, ficky kind of way, may I add? To be honest, all chess game scenes in this book gave me very strong fanfic vibes. Not so much in what they do, but the way it is described and the vocabulary Nicola chooses to use, very fanficky. Was I mad about it? Not really. I had never read anything that gave me so very strong fanfic vibes, but it wasn't terrible. And by the end, when all matters in hand are solved and they finally accept they have a crush on each other, they have a surprise wedding, by which I mean they just invite all their friends and family for a supposedly Christmas party that ends up being their wedding. Dramatic? Yes. Cute? Yes. Now, did I really buy that they were in love with each other by the end of the story? Not really. But I understand it's a short story and you can only do so much with the number of words you can use to build up the couple's relationship. Would I like to see it turn into a full-size novella? So hopefully their chemistry goes beyond just their mutual attraction and chemistry? Yes. Yes, I would. But to be honest, that was one of the last things I even noticed in the story because I was so focused on how different the narrative can be and how much more educational and positive a story can become when we shift the knowledge and the power and the experience to the female side on this trope specifically. I had never read anything like this done before. I'm gonna be honest. I picked up to read it, but I didn't think I would like the male characters specifically. Well, being experienced and knowledgeable is part of the job description of being a romance novel hero. You don't see a socially awkward, nervous around woman protagonist, typically. So I thought, well, he has to be very boring and unattractive. I couldn't have been more wrong. He was so likable and so steamy and so sweet and such a good partner for Delilah by learning and walking himself through it with her. And she, with that feminine touch to her knowledge and experience, walked him through it in a completely different way than I had ever seen done by a male protagonist. They typically teach the heroine by doing, by action, by, picking up the chessboard and playing. I was amazed by seeing that conversation being had that way. And I really do think that this kind of shift in power should be there way more often than it is. And I hope it's done so much more often by so many more authors. Because, wow! To be honest, I've always found romance novels very chess game positive. Because you always have the female protagonist learning to be comfortable with her own body and her needs and her tastes and her partner's body. But how differently can you do that same thing? Yes, historical romance novels really open a place for women to be comfortable and open about this topic, but I really think it's time to open a space for them to be comfortable with the topic in new, different ways. Because, well, it's not the 80s and 90s anymore. So more and more readers are gonna have different experiences and relate to different characters with different levels of experience and knowledge on the subject. And I really hope to see it more. Not only that, but female and male characters with different perspectives on chess games and what it means to them, because, well, it doesn't mean the same to all men and all women. And whilst that is more and more portrayed, I don't think it's portrayed enough yet. So yeah, that's gonna be it for today. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Leave me any book suggestions you might have in the comments down below. Tell me what you think about the subject. Check the Instagram and blog linked in the description box down below. And I'll see you next time.